Limits of the Flesh, Chapter 78, Fantasy Fiction by Azazyel. Konekoooo, Ni, Lee. I drawled out the names while playing with the aggressively lazy Nekomata duo and Nekoshou. In unison, the three cat girls looked back up at me fiercely with their slitted eyes, and in unison they all said, "Stay." And then they went back to huffing my scent while also licking my bare chest and arms. As I was releasing catnip-like chemicals while also making my skin like a more favorable salt lick that tickled their animalistic tendencies. So I could only look up at Rias and Aquino in defeat at being unable to move, which made the two bustier women roll their eyes, though Aquino tittered as she came up closer with a wide smile. "So how is Shuri settling in?" I asked Aquino. Aquino's face twitched for a moment, but then she wore a more okay, I was going to think that was a natural smile for a split second, but I quickly realized that was the same smile she wore, for when she had a particular morsel to torture to her heart's content, knowing she was going to kill it afterward. "Oh. My mother is doing so much better now, Jake," she said with an all-too-wide smile, and then she continued, and I felt Ni and Lee shudder against me at the scary sadomasochistic voice as she continued. "In fact, I need your help with her re-education, and although I have made phenomenal progress, especially with the literal buckets of Phoenix tears on hand, but I could use a different perspective to help with her training," she finished. Rias on the other hand face palmed, and I looked over to her as she dragged the hand down, and when her hand was out of the way, seeing my expression of, "WTF is your queen doing to her own mother?" she spoke wryly. "Oh. Shuri made an oopsie and wanted to go see Aquino's birth father. Aquino doesn't like that, and now Aquino is trying to NTR her mother from her father with mind-breaking torture and pleasure, as for some reason they made a bet on that." Rias only smiled at my expression of pure fucking disbelief, and then she added on. "Jake, my love. Shuri was more degenerate than a cadre fallen angel. Don't ever put a limit to how degenerate you think Shuri could be." And then Konekoooo summed it all up perfectly as she deadpanned. "A pervert being the spawn of the ultimate pervert. Also yum." She drawled at the end, making me shiver as she licked from the bottom of my neck all the way to my right ear before she relaxed against me to nibble on my neck. A cough rang out as Rias covered her mouth to get my attention, and with that, she spoke more seriously. "Jake, with Zekrom dead you have a decent chance of pushing toward becoming the new Lucifer. In fact, in a week's time, the Devil's Youth meeting will be happening and will be a crucial event for you to set yourself up as the future Lucifer with your strength and connections," she explained before smiling wryly as she continued. "Though my cousin Sarorg is inevitably going to want to fight you for the right to become Lucifer, just don't kill him. I do love him as a good member of my family," she finished, and I nodded. When Rias finished speaking, I moved Ni closer to my chest despite Konekoooo growling possessively over what she had claimed to be her position, so I could reach out and take Rias's hand, and I smiled with love filling my chest as I felt the baby forming within Rias's womb. "All right, Rias. I will make sure to give him a good straight brawl so he can keep up his reputation as the strongest youth." "Ho. Do you plan to lose to him, Jake Barris?" Aquino teased, and I rolled my eyes. With my freed hand I let go of Rias's hand to flick a small ball of her divine lightning into her breasts, making her moan at the pain, and the noise made the catgirls on my chest shift and heat up. I was making my rounds through the Gremory mansion talking to my creations, the maids, and the other people of note later after I took a quick shower to get all the catgirl juices off me after Konekoooo reluctantly left with Rias and Aquino, and without Konekoooo, who wasn't ready for sex, I just slept with Ni and Lee. But as I was making my rounds, I saw 3 cardboard boxes shuffle across the junction of a long hallway. "Gasper," I muttered in confusion as I could easily see a single box being Gasper, but who was in the other boxes? I quickly made my way over to the junction and saw the boxes heading towards the kitchens that were in this side of the estate. "Going for snacks, I guess," I muttered as I quietly followed the boxes with pure amusement in my eyes. When we passed another junction, I saw Grafia frozen down one of the other hallways, watching with pure confusion that the literal train of cardboard boxes continued past her view, lightly thumping along the thickly plushed carpets of the floor as they went. She quickly made her way over to me and then hissed quietly. "Who is in the boxes?" she questioned, and honestly, I couldn't see any hair, feet, or anything, so I literally just shrugged with an easy smile. "No idea, but they are heading to the kitchens to loot snacks, so let's follow," I suggested, and Grafia sniffed but smiled, with the normally strict maid following behind me as we followed the boxes into the kitchens. But once they got to the kitchens we hid behind the corner of the wall so we could watch as the 3 boxes got thrown off their forms, revealing the people within. Alright. Klee, you blast open the cookie lock. Konekoooo, you get the step ladder we brought in last night to get to the cookie dough storage in the 2nd level fridge. Milika snapped out orders and my face twitched as Klee gleefully fucking put a thermite charge on a metal padlock. Fire in the hole. Klee called out as a blindingly white light flared out as the thermite quickly melted through the metal but wasn't able to melt through the clay that was used to mold the pile of thermite around the lock. All the while Konekoooo went behind one of the fridges to take out a step ladder and then quickly climbed up the ladder that Milika steadied, and then with a grunt of effort Konekoooo broke open the seal that closed the fridge's bounty of chocolate chip cookie dough. Should we say something? I whispered silently to Grafia. I looked over and her grey eyes were filled with love as she looked at Milika's, and feeling my gaze on her, she bit her lip and I felt her take my hand as she shook her head and spoke ever so softly so Konekoooo couldn't hear. No. Let him have this win. She said, and then with my arm bound against her breasts, she pulled me away, her speaking softly but more clearly now. We need to speak, you and I with Venelana anyway.